Says in the Eshet Chayil, Darshat Semer Upishtim, she seeks wool and linen, v'tas bechefetz kapeha, and she works with the willingness of her hand, as if her hands are doing the work all by themselves. She seeks wool and linen, and she works with the willingness of her hand. Who is seeking wool and linen? What are you seeking wool and linen for? And what is it that your hands are doing? As if the hands are working all by themselves. On a simple level, this woman of valor is seeking wool and is seeking linen to craft things of the wool and linen, to sew things, to make things, and to then sell them for a profit. She's helping her husband and bringing in an income. Says the Midrash Mishlei, who is the woman in Tanakh that is represented in this pasuk of the Eshet Chayil, source number 2, Darshat Semer Upishtim, she seeks wool and linen, Zu Leah Imeinu. This is a reference to Leah. Shekibla leYaakov besever panim yafot. She greeted Yaakov with such a happy countenance. When did Leah greet Yaakov? Not telling you yet, but I'll show you exactly their rendezvous outside, under the stars in the field. It'll be beautiful. You'll see exactly, you'll hear the music playing when she greets him. And in that moment, when she greets him, says the Midrash, that's where she's described as seeking wool and linen. What is she seeking wool and what's this business about wool and linen? I don't know. So you'll have to come with me on this journey of discovery as we are about to meet Leah and work our way to this great meeting under the stars where she seeks wool and linen. Let's start at the beginning. Let's take a look at the first time Leah is introduced in the Torah. And of course, firsts are very important. Firsts in the Torah are very important. The first time the Torah introduces Leah, I want to know what the Torah has to say. Source number 3. Ulelavan shtei banot. Lavan has 2 daughters. Shem hagdola, the older one, the bigger one, Leah. Her name is Leah. V'shem haktana Rachel. And the little one, the younger one, her name is Rachel. Now here's what you need to know. And if you understand this, you understand everything. It's bolded. Ve'einei Leah rakot. Tell me something about Leah that's going to encapsulate for me everything I need to know about her. Leah is only one thing you need to know. What is it? Not her GPA. Ve'einei Leah rakot. Her eyes are rakot. We'll translate vulnerable. That's all you need to know. Her eyes are vulnerable. Now I know that we always have this image of, puffy-eyed Leah with her eyelashes falling out and her big box of Kleenex blowing her nose. We all have this image of Leah crying. We're going to try to uncover what is this description of Ve'einei Leah rakot. Leah's eyes are vulnerable. What about Rachel? What do you need to know about Rachel? And if you understand this, it'll encapsulate everything that she's all about. No one get offended. ורחל הייתה יפת תואר ויפת מראה. Rachel was yifat to'ar. Yifat to'ar, structurally beautiful. Her structure physically was in total balance. She would walk down the street, you would look twice at her. V'yifat mar'eh, her complexion was beautiful. What? That's all the Torah tells me about her? Yeah. And if you understand this, you understand everything about her. This is the first time we meet them. Let's try to understand what these descriptions are all about. Rachel's description is what? Rachel's description, categorize it for me. It's a description of what? Of something physical about her. Leah's description, Einei Leah rakot. What kind of description is that? It's something about her eyes. Her eyes are always indicative of your soul. So it's a spiritual description. Kabbalistically, if you take a look at source number 5, Kabbalistically, Leah and Rachel represent 2 different domains. Rachel, number 5, he alma d'itgalia. Kabbalistically, Rachel and everything which comes from Rachel is called Alma d'Itgalia, the exposed world, the revealed world, the physical world, the open world. Alma d'Itgalia, Itgalia galui, Olam hagalui, the open world, the physical world. And when we speak more about Rachel, we will open this up more. Leah, alma d'itkasya. Leah represents alma d'itkasya, the concealed world, the secret world, the covered world. Everything which is covered, everything which is internal, everything which is secretive. That is what Leah represents. And everything which comes from Leah will also have this quality of being alma d'itkasya, the secret world, the concealed world, the internal world. That is Leah, and hence Einei Leah Rakot. So trying to understand Leah is going to be a little bit tricky, because by nature, as the Kabbalah says, she represents ha'olam ha'chasui, the secret, the internal world. We're going to have to try to really kind of peek behind that curtain and see, is there more than meets the eye? For Rachel, it won't be so hard because it's the exposed world. It'll be easier to understand her story. Leah's story is going to be shrouded in secrecy, veiled in mystery, because that's what she is. Alma d'itkasya. She's the concealed world. Now, before we delve into Leah, I must preface, like we said with Rivka a few weeks ago, it's very easy to misunderstand Leah. The only two people I'll say this about, one was Rivka, and the other one will be Leah. It's very easy to misunderstand Leah. Now let's take a look at what happens. Let's go back to the verses, source number 3. Vayahav Yaakov et Rachel. Now, we're not going to talk too much about Rachel because that will be coming up next, but of course everything in context. Yaakov loved Rachel. It was plain, it was open, simple, revealed story. Vayomer Evdachal b'sheva shnim berachel, says to Lavan, let me work for your daughter 7 years. Vayavod Yaakov berachel, very simple, very obvious, and he works for 7 years. Vayu beinav keyamim achadim be'avato ota, and it was in his eyes as if it was just a few days, because he loved her so much. Simple, obvious, revealed. Vayomer Yaakov Lavan hava et ishti. At the end of 7 years, he says, okay, let me have my wife, let me have relations with her. Very simple, very obvious story. Vayasof Lavan et kol anshe hamakom. Lavan sends out the invitations. Vayas mishte, makes a great party. Simple, obvious, revealed. Vayihi ba'erev. But it was at night. Vayikach et Leah bito. He took Leah, his daughter. Vayaveh ota elav. And he brought her to him. Vayavo Leah. And Yaakov had relations with her. Now stop. We tend to wag our fingers. That trickster, that prankster Lavan. Look, he pulled the wool over Yaakov's eyes. We tend to wag our fingers at Lavan. Look at what he did. But I'd like to kind of take our finger and point it at a different direction. What about Leah? What about Leah? What about Leah? Midrash tells us, I forgot to insert it, for 7 years, as Yaakov was dating Rachel, he used to send her like gifts. You know, Chatan and Kala are engaged, right? So he sends her cute things. He used to send her gifts. Lavan would take these gifts, which were clearly addressed to my beloved Rachel, and he would give them to Leah. For 7 years, Leah knew full well what Lavan was planning. If I was Leah, you know what I would do? If I was Leah, I would make a big scene. A big scene. Now, if my father was a powerful man, I'd make a big scene as he was, putting the wedding dress, as he was throwing that at me. But under the chuppah, you know what I would do? Psst, psst, Yaakov! You get it, Yaakov? If I was Leah, I would communicate to him somehow, man, he got the wrong girl. But Leah doesn't do any of that. Why not? Why doesn't she tell him? Why doesn't she communicate to him? Why doesn't she alert him you're about to marry them? For 7 years she's getting all of Rachel's presents. Her whole shelf is filled with all his roses and everything, and teddy bears and everything. Why doesn't she say something? You know why? Very simple. Leah decides very simply and very resolutely, an ironclad decision. And her decision is, I got to be married to this man. Oh, you think you want to share that with him? Nah, too complicated. I'll iron out that wrinkle in the morning. Leah, what are you doing? She's practically throwing herself at Yaakov. I know we don't usually think of Leah this way. We usually think of Leah, again, Einei Leah Rakot, her eyes are vulnerable, and we know the famous Midrash which tells us for years and years she was crying because everybody was saying she's going to marry Esav, Rachel is going to marry Yaakov, and she cried and cried and cried, right, until her eyelashes literally fell out. She wanted to avoid that fate. But I'm introducing to you a different angle of Leah, and again, you could tell me, no, I see a girl who's being dragged under the chuppah because her powerful father says to, and she's just passive and lacking personality. But if she's passive and lacking personality, you know what she would do? She would pass out. She would pass out under the chuppah. She would faint. I would. I would pass out. Only a woman with great vision, incredible guts, and a whole lot of courage would make it under the chuppah, right? And until the following morning when the secret got out. Only a woman with great vision would be able to survive that evening. A woman who is passive, a woman who is weak, a woman who is, okay, Daddy, but I really don't want to, she would never make it. So here's Leah, who makes a decision. And her decision is very simply, I must be married to this man. There's no other way about it. Why? What about your sister? Now you and I know there's a happy ending. Rachel also gets put into the picture 7 days later. They didn't know that. No, I have to be married to this man. What do you mean you have to? Yes, I'm going to be the mother of the Jewish people. Yeah? Yeah. Here's a woman who knows what she wants. She has a tremendous vision, a tremendous ideal that she's working upon. And because she represents the Alma de Idkasya, the secret world, she sees no need to communicate this to anybody. Because she's all secret. She's all mystery. She's all internal. Communicate it? Why? It makes things complicated. Why should I tell him I'm going to marry him? He'll find out when the time is right. He'll find out. What does Yaakov think about this? What does Rachel think about it? You tell me, what does Rachel think about it? How do we know it's fine with her? How do we know it's fine with her? Because she gave over the simanim, those special codes, because Yaakov knew what Lavan was thinking and Rachel knew what he was thinking, so that special code, she gave it over to Leah. She was okay with it. What about Yaakov? Well, let's take a look what he says to her when he finds out. It's unbelievable. Take a look at source number 3 where it's bolded. Vayihi baboker, in the morning, v'hinei, Leah! It's Leah! And what does he say to her? To her? Nothing. Nothing. Who does he say something? Vayomer el Lavan. So to Lavan he says something. Look, publicly he has to make a little scene. Privately he doesn't say anything to her. At least the Torah doesn't tell us anything that he said to her. In the bedroom, privately he doesn't say anything to her. Publicly, he's got to say something to Lavan. So he says, Mazota sitale, what'd you do? Da, da, da. Publicly he says something. But privately, behind closed doors, he understands, okay, she must be wearing the glasses that Rivka wore when she made decisions that didn't tell Yitzhak, and she must be wearing the glasses that Savta Sarah wore when Sarah made decisions and Abraham wasn't planning to kick out Ishmael, but she must be wearing different glasses. Yaakov, that morning, understands there's something here that is bigger than me, that is beyond my understanding. How big, he doesn't understand yet. He will soon. I'll show you exactly where it happens. How big, he doesn't understand yet. But some things he's understanding. I'll show you something that I find is really, really cute. It's so cute. I printed it for you. In the morning, and behold, he Leah. Says the Or HaChaim. If you take a look at the Chumash, V'hinei hi Leah, it doesn't really say hi Leah, it is Leah. What does it say? It says hu Leah. There's a vav there, which is the Torah's way of saying, red light, stop, examine this word, I'm trying to tell you something. The Or HaChaim picks up on it. Source number 4, V'hinei hu Leah, hi Leah, there's that vav. Tam shekatuv hu bevav, lirmoz divreihem zal. It's a hint to what Chazal already told us. Shehayu anshe hamakom, the people at the party, meranenim balayla, the people at the party, they were like singing and cheering and yodeling this particular like song that Yaakov never heard of. Ve'omrim, Hi Leah, Hi Leah, Hi Leah, Hi Leah, Hi Leah. They were kind of like, you know, when people get together at a party, some people say la 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 la, some people say oi 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 oi. So they were saying, Hi Leah, Hi Leah, Hi Leah, Hi Leah. Leah, she's Leah. They were trying to communicate it to Yaakov because they knew. They knew. He didn't know. They all knew. And they were trying to sing it to him. He Leah, get it? He didn't get it. When he woke up in the morning, he understood the song that they were singing all night long. He Leah. Oh, what are they singing? What kind of song is it? He didn't get it. He Leah, it's Leah. In the morning, he understood it. He understood that it was Leah. So here's Leah, who seems to be not practicing any of the good things that they teach you in Kala class, like the foundation of a good marriage is communication, doesn't seem to be practicing any of it. But of course, that's Leah. All mystery, all secrecy. She enters the stage of Jewish history not through the front door, not through the back door, not even through the window. She enters the stage of Jewish history through a door that you didn't even know existed. And it is from there that she's going to operate. And that is because she has a goal, and her goal is, I must be married to this man. I must be the mother of the Jewish people. I know I can do it. It is a woman of great ideal, great vision, and great courage. But because she represents the Alma de Itkasya, she sees absolutely no need to reveal this to anybody whatsoever. She takes initiative. That description is something you would not think of using for Leah. Again, we think of her as puffy-eyed Leah with her box of Kleenex sitting in the back. Yeah, we're seeing that at all. Any girl who would be passive and wouldn't have any courage would have passed out under the chuppah. She takes initiative because some things can't be left to happenstance. Before we go on with Leah, I'd like to introduce you to another woman who's similar to Leah, does not leave marriage to happenstance. A woman who takes initiative. I'd like to share her story with you. And by the time we're done, you'll see an unbelievable connection between these two women. Take a look at source number 6. Vaish b'ma'on u'maseo b'Karmel. There was a man who lived in Ma'on who worked in Carmel. Vaish gadol me'od. Oh, he was so wealthy. He was Bill Gates of the time. V'lotzon 3,000. He had 3,000 sheep, 1,000 izim, 1,000 goats. V'bigzoz et sono b'Karmel. And he went to shear his sheep in Carmel. V'shem ha'ish Naval. The man's name was Naval. Naval means scoundrel, bum. V'shem ishto Avigail. And his wife's name was Avigail. Va'isha tovat mereh v'yefat toar, and she was stunningly gorgeous. Va'ish kasher v'ramalim, and he was wicked to the core. Now, Naval is a man who, in Pasuk Dalet, we're told, Va'ishma David. David had a relationship with Naval. What was the relationship? Very often, it used to be in biblical times that wealthy people had kind of like a deal with the people of the desert. Look, here are my sheep. Okay, you're going to guard them for me, and from time to time, I'll pay you back. Right? Rather than a hired worker who kind of like lives with you and watches your sheep, there were these deals that people had that you watch my sheep from time to time when you're around, when you're available, and I'll feed you, I'll feed your guys. Okay. Naval and David had this kind of setup. Okay, David used to watch Naval's sheep from time to time. Vaishma David b'midbar. Now David was in the desert with his 400 ex-mafiosos who joined up with him because David was looking for guys to fight the wars of Hashem. He galvanized these people who were ex-criminals. Navi tells us they were criminals, ex-criminals who had a lot of energy, and David took it and put it to good use. So David heard, oh great, Naval is making a party, he's shearing his sheep. Let's ask him to help us out a little bit, to give us some food. So he sends 10 guys to say, please go send Naval our warmest regards and ask him for some food. Pasuk Yud, Vayan Naval et Avdei David. Naval says to these 10 boys that come to him, Mi David, Umi ben Ishai. Who? Who wants food? David? Never heard of the guy. Yes, you did. You hired him. He has 400 hungry men. Help him out. Who? I know what you're talking about. I never heard of the guy. Never heard of him. Right? Not nice. You're repaying the kindness that he did to you with evil. Kfui tava is not good. So many workers I have. Everybody wants something from me. Get out. ולקחתי את לחמי ואת מימי וטבחתי אשר טבחתי לגוזזי, and I'm going to take my bread and my steaks and my barbecues which I made for my shearers, and I'm going to give it לאנשים אשר לא ידעתי. I'm going to give it to 400 ex-mafiosos. Come on, give me a break. Amy Zahema, who are these people who want food from me? Get out, I don't want any of it. פסוק י"ג, David gets upset, ויאמר דוד לאנשיו, חגרו איש את חרבו. Everybody get your swords ready, ויחגרו איש את חרבו, ויחגור גם דוד. David got his sword ready, ויעלו אחרי דוד כ400 איש. And so 400 people go up with David, and what are they about to do? They're going to kill Naval. They're going to make Naval pay for his lack of kindness. Now who hears about all this? ולאביגיל אשת נבל הגיד נער אחד מהנערים לאמור. So Avigail, one of the boys tells Avigail what happened. You know, your husband, David's guys, they came, he sent them off. It was a horrible scene. He came לברך את אדוננו ויראת בהם. He came to bless us, but Naval kicked them away. Now Avigail understands that Naval is about to be killed. She knows exactly what David is planning. ותמהר אביגיל. She gets into action. ותיקח 200 לחם. She takes 200 loaves of bread. 2 נבלי יין. She takes 2 barrels of wine. 5 צאן עשויות. 5 sheep all barbecued and ready. 5 שאים כלי. 5 sacks of roasted grain. 100 צימוקים. 100 measurements of raisins. 200 דבלים. 200 figs. She takes all this food. She loads up her donkeys and she goes into the desert to David. ותאמר נריה, she tells her, boys, go up ahead of me. ולאישה נבל לא הגידה. To her husband, she did not say a word. והיה היא רוכבת על החמור. So here's Abigail riding on her donkey. ויורדת בסתר ההר. Now I bolded that phrase. She goes down in the secret of the mountain. What secret? I'll tell you soon what secret. For our purposes right now, she goes down the mountain. והנה דוד ואנשיו יורדים לקראתה. And here's David. Picture this. You got this gorgeous woman with a bunch of donkeys. Okay, she is the wife of the most wanted man on their list. Okay, and now here's this woman coming with her donkey down the mountain. David and his 400 ex-mafiosos are coming to greet her, ותפגוש אותם, right? And now they're face to face. Pasuk Chaf Bet. David sees her, and what does he tell her? It's not pleasant. I'll read it to you. כה יעשה אלוקים לאויבי דוד וכה יוסיף אשר אשיר מכל אשר לו עד בוקר משתין בקיר. It's a very crude language. I'll translate it for you. It's a very crude language. He says to Abigail, I swear to you. Again, I'm going to translate it. I didn't make it up. David says it. It's very crude. I won't leave a single pisher who pishes on the wall. Literally, that's what the pasuk says. I won't leave any males in the house of Noah. Kill them all. ותראה אביגיל את דוד, ותמהר Now, if I was Abigail, what's my goal? What's my goal? Save her life? He's not going to kill her. Only the ones who make against the wall. That's David's way of saying men. He's not going to touch her, but he'll kill her husband. What's her goal? Don't touch my husband. Don't touch my man. That's her goal. If I was Abigail, what would I do? I wouldn't come with all this food. I would come with a baseball bat. I would come with a loudspeaker. Don't you touch my man! I got the cops coming after you! That's what I would do. Look at what Abigail does. She's a brilliant woman. ותמר ותרד מעל החמור, ותיפול לאפי דוד. She falls to her face in front of David. ותשתחו ארץ. She bows down to him. ותיפול על רגליו. She gets closer and she literally falls down at his feet. Okay, looks good. ותאמר בי אדוני, העוון, ותדברנה אמתך באוזניך. I have a few words I want to share with you. שמע דברי אמתך. Listen to me, please. I'm your lowly maidservant. Listen to me. What is she doing? She's a brilliant woman. What is she doing? She's appeasing him. She's appeasing him. Okay, she's bowing down to him. She's appeasing him. She's, right, being completely submissive. Now, you and I know exactly what she has on her mind. But that's not what she says. Don't pay attention to this rotten bum. He's a rotten bum, and that's his name. His name is Naval, and he's a Naval. His name is Bum, and he's a bum. But me, I'm your maidservant. I didn't see anyone you sent. Had I known, I would have helped you. Abigail, what are you doing? You're trying to save your husband's life, or you're making him look bad? No? A little of both. A little of both. Sana lepesha matecha, please forgive us. Please forgive us. Now I have a piece of my mind to share with you. David, I've heard a lot about you. I've been following you on CNN for the past couple of years. And I know, it's in bold, Ki milchamot Hashem Adoni nilcham. There's a lot of blood on your sword. Your shirt is dripping in blood. I see it. Your pants are dripping in blood. You got blood under your fingernails. Your man is dripping in blood. But every drop of blood, Ki milchamot Hashem Adoni nilcham. You've been fighting the wars of God. And there's not a single drop of blood that you spilled that was personal vendetta. You know, David was a really rough and tumble kind of guy. We picture David, we think of him with his crown sitting on his throne. That was much later on in life. He was a man of war. You remember what he did to earn his wife's hand in marriage. He killed 200 plishtim and he, so to speak, circumcised them, right? Filled a sandwich bag with 100 of those foreskins and gave it to his future father-in-law. This is a man, blood for him and blood for his guys. Blood is cheap. What's another person? She says, but I've been hearing about you, and I know that not a single drop of blood that you spilled ever was just personal vendetta. But now things are changing, because now you want to kill Naval, skipping to Pasuk Laman Aleph. You're about to come across a stumbling block. You're about to kill someone, and it's personal vendetta. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's between you and him. It has nothing to do with God. It's just a you and him thing. It's going to destroy your foundation of kingship. I know you. I know what you're planning to do. I know who you're going to become. It's going to destroy the foundation of your kingship. And we don't start foundations with cracks. If the foundation is a crack, it's going to crumble soon. V'lishpoch dam chinam. You're going to spill clean blood. V'loshi adoni lo veitiv Hashem la'adoni. And after she accuses him of all this, you're spilling clean blood. Don't do this. It's going to ruin your chances of establishing a solid Davidic dynasty. One woman on the floor talking to a man, right, who's got his sword ready and 400 ex-mafiosos behind him. They're going to kill her. And she says all this with complete confidence. And then you know what she does? What does she do? Then she proposes to him. So listen, when everything is nice and peaceful by you, you'll remember me, yeah? She proposes to him. Wow. Your husband is still alive. What do you... Avigail decides, just like Leah, this man, I have to be married to him. But you're married. Yeah, sooner or later he'll die. And in fact, within a few days, Naval drops dead. When he heard what happened, he got a heart attack, his heart turned into a rock, and Hashem killed him off, and that was the end of him. V'yomer David l'Avigail. Now, David, he's got his, you would think, as, he's got 400 guys, he's going to let a woman, what's he going to do? And David, with all his roughness and all his gentleness, V'yomer l'Avigail, Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael asher shelachech hayom hazeh likrati. Baruch Hashem, that Hashem sent you to me. Ubaruch tamech, blessed is your reasoning. Ubruchat, and blessed are you. Asher kilitani hayom hazeh mibo b'damim. You prevented me from spilling clean blood. And he marries her. Right? Very shortly after this, he takes her and she becomes his wife. About people like Avigail, about people like Leah, who take initiative. Because some things you can't just leave them, let them happen to you whenever they will. The Talmud, the Gemara in Masechet Baba Kama, source number 7 says, don't get offended. They're going to compare women to something. We're going to compare Avigail to something. Don't get offended. It's not at all what you think it is. Shafil v'azil bar avza ve'eneha metayfe. Bar avza, avaz is a duck. Now they're not saying a woman is a duck. Shafil v'azil bar avza. A duck keeps his head shafil, kind of bowed down. Here's a duck, waddling away in the pond with his head bowed down. You think, oh, what a peaceful creature, minding its own business, looking, under the water. Shafil, his head bowed down, azil, and he's waddling around. Ve'enei, but his eyes, the duck's eyes, metayfe, are scanning the horizon. Yes, it looks like you're kind of minding your own business, but your eyes are scanning the horizon for food, for potential danger. So Avigail, so Leah. Avigail, Leah, right? Avigail kind of takes backstage, Leah with her box of Kleenex. But of course they're planning great things. They're planning gigantic things. They decide, they take initiative. Of course, modesty is a virtue. Humility is an even greater virtue. But sometimes you have to take a stance. And when it comes to being attached and being married to this person who you think you need to be married to, then you have to be strong about it. And that's what Avigail does, and that's what Leah does. But now I'm going to show you something else. If you take a look at source number 9. Leah decides, I must be married to Yaakov, because he is Yesod Shiftei Yisrael. He represents the foundation of the Jewish people, the foundation of the tribes of Israel. She is trapped, Leah is trapped in the house of a man called Laban. And Yaakov, so to speak, rescues her from there. Avigail, who we just met, decides, I must be married to David, because David represents Yesod. He is the foundation of Malchut Israel, Jewish kingship. And she's trapped in the house of a man called Naval. Take a look at those letters. Lavan, Naval, same letters. According to the Kabbalah, same person, same soul. Same soul. Lavan, Naval. Entrapped, two sparks, two souls. Leah on one hand, Avigail on the other hand. One decides, I must be attached to the man who represents the foundation of the Jewish people. The other one decides, I must be attached to the man who represents kingship. And they save, right? Abigail saves David. Without Abigail, David would have killed Naval, and there would have been a crack in the foundation, and that is it. That is the end of his career. Without Leah, ladies, we would not be sitting here. Yeah, and that would have been the end of the Jewish people, so to speak. And so we see that this taking initiative is a trait that they pull out of their pocket exactly when it's necessary. Do you remember the mountain that she came down with her donkey, and I told you she came down in the secret of the mountain? I said, keep that in mind, I'm going to come back to it. Avigail, says the Midrash, kind of had this halachic discussion with David. And in this halachic discussion, she's trying to impress upon David that he cannot kill Naval. Now I want to show you the depth of her wisdom and the sweet cleverness of how she talks to David. Take a look at what she does. She goes down Beseter Hahar, in the secret of the mountain. If you take a look at source number 8, Avigail is riding on her donkey. She goes down in the secret of the mountain. Says the Gemara, source number 8, Beseter Hahar? Secret of the mountain? Min hahar mi baile. The Gemara, the pasuk should say she came down the mountain. What's the secret of the mountain? You with me? What does it mean she came down the secret of the mountain? Amar Rabba Bal Shmuel al iskei dam haba min hastarim. She asked Yaakov and she asked David a seter, a secret, an intimate question. Beseter hahar. She asked David a question that has to do with intimate matters. Says the Gemara, she showed him dam, she showed him blood, which came from an intimate part of her. In other words, she gave him a piece of cloth with blood on it, and she wanted him to judge, is this blood, right, does it render me pure, does it render me impure, right? Beseter, she gave him blood that has to do with intimacy. Natla dam, she took a cloth with some blood on it, veheretalo, and she showed it to him. Now David looks at her, he says, Amar la, v'chi marin dam balayla? Abigail, look outside. The moon is out. You don't show blood at night. I need sunlight. What are you showing this to me now? I'll be happy to judge it in the morning. And what does Abigail respond? Amra lo, v'chidanin dine nefashot balayla? I know, you're not supposed to show blood at night. But I'll ask you the same question. Why are you judging a capital offense at night? Don't you know the law, David? The law is that capital offenses may not be judged at night. You're about to kill Naval. Is a capital offense issue. You can't convene a court for capital offenses at night. Halakha is you have to convene that court during the daytime only. It's brilliant, right? He says, Abigail, wherever you went to school, they taught you well. But one thing you didn't know. Amar la mored b'malchut hu. Your husband is not a simple capital offense. He's a mored b'malchut. he is rebelling against the king. And when there's a man who rebels against the king, lo tzarich lemedayna, you don't need to convene a court. You take your sword and off with his head. I don't need a court. I can do this at night. She says, what? My husband rebelled against the king? What king? Who king? You? King? Amra lo, adain Shaul kayam. You're not king. You're king, but you're not king. Shaul is still alive. Velo yatsa tivra ba'olam. Your great name has not yet spread throughout the world. In other words, I know your king David was secretly coronated as king. David was secretly coronated as king, but Shaul is still alive. Now Hashem took the kingship away from Shaul and gave it to David, but you still got this, like, Shaul is still around. You can't elbow your way in. So you're telling me my husband went against the king. Who are you calling king? You for sure not king. You're not king until the whole world knows about you. And David says, Baruch ta'amech. Blessed is your reasoning. Avigail, you're right. You're right. And here's Avigail, with all her initiative, not just to show him, haha, I'm right and you're wrong, God forbid. It doesn't come from a place of chutzpah. It doesn't come from a place of one-up. It comes from a place of, I care about what you represent, and that is Davidic dynasty, and I don't want there to be a crack in that foundation. And furthermore, I plan to be married to you while we're at it. It doesn't come from a place of ego. It doesn't come up from a place of 1 over 1. It comes from a place of deep concern of everything that David is and everything that he represents. That is Avigail, just like Leah. We're not told much about Leah, but there are a few episodes about Leah that we want to study to kind of get a deeper understanding of all that she represents. Understand that Leah enters this marriage, and she's the only one entering because Yaakov sure didn't plan to enter this marriage with her. Leah enters this marriage knowing full well, Leah, he may never love you like he loves Rachel. I know. Leah, he didn't date you. I know. He's not interested in you. I know. He'll never love you like he loves Rachel. That's okay. You're not the one he cares for. No. You're willing to live with that, Leah, for the rest of your life. Yeah. Because I have a greater ideal and a greater vision, and I'm willing to live with the sacrifice of sacrificing that sweet and dear love that my sister will always have. Now, I will show you exactly where Yaakov falls in love with Leah. You'll see it. We'll be right there with them. But it doesn't happen for quite some time. If you take a look at source number 10. Source number 10 on the bottom of the first side. Vayar Hashem ki snu'a Leah. And Hashem saw, beheld, understood ki snu'a Leah. That Leah was, now snu'a is translated, of course, as the hated one. Hashem beheld that Leah was hated. The Ramban, which I forgot to print out for you, the Ramban on the spot gives us a rule. And the rule is, God forbid Leah was not hated. You cannot, God forbid Yaakov did not hate Leah. Ramban says there's a rule. Anytime a man is married to two women, there's one woman who he loves more. The other woman, she's called snu'ah in relation to the first one. Again, if there's a man who's married to two women, right, there's the, dear wife, and then there's the other wife. So the other wife is always given the title snu'ah. Not that God forbid he hated her, says the Rambam, but it's a rule. Whenever you have a man who's married to two women, there's his, kind of the apple of his eye woman. And then in relation to her, Leah was loved less, and she was, right? In relation to Rachel, so she's called snu'ah. But it's a strong word, right? It's a strong word. Vayiftach et rachma, and so Hashem opens up her womb. V'Rachel hakara, but Rachel was barren. Rachel we'll say for another day. Take a look at the names that Leah gives her children, and you tell me what she's feeling. V'tahar Leah v'tilebet v'tikra shmo Reuven. She calls her first child Reuven. Why did she call him Reuven? Ki ra'ah Hashem be'oni. Hashem saw my oppression. Ki ata yahaveni ishi. Maybe now my husband will love me. Child number 2. She calls him Shimon because Hashem heard that I'm the hated one. Child number 3. For sure, now my husband will always accompany me and be with me. Because I bore 3 children for him. For sure now he'll always be on my side. Because of course, on whose side was Yaakov always on? He was always with Rachel. The 4th child, Hapam odeh et Hashem. This time I'll really thank God. Because now that she got more than what she thought she would get, Chazal tell us that our mothers were prophetesses. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, neviot hayu. And they knew that Yaakov was going to have 12 children. Okay, with these 4 women, namely Rachel, Leah, Zilpah, and Bilhah. So if there's 4 wives, and there are going to be 12 children, you do the math, each wife will have 3 of the children. She has 4. I got more than my portion. We can see from the names she gives her children that she's really, it's something, there's an emotional struggle inside her. She sacrificed the love she knew she wasn't going to get like Rachel has it, like she's going to have an electric kind of love coming from Yaakov. We'll speak about that another time. But of course she sacrificed it because she wanted to be the mother of the Jewish people. But take a look at how far this goes, this desire to be the mother of the Jewish people. Now I'll point out to you the last 2 words on the first side. After she had her 4th child, what happened to her? V'ta'amod miledet. She could not have any more children. She had her 4th child and she could not get pregnant again. A few psukim later, her oldest kid, Vayelech Reuven b'imei ktsir chitim, was kind of taking a walk. Not any walk. I'll tell you what kind of walk. Vayimtza dudaim basadeh. And her oldest child, he finds some dudaim in the field. What are dudaim? You'll have to figure out with me in a moment. What do I care that he's taking a nature walk for? Or he became a nature person? What do I care? No, says Rashi. This wasn't just any old nature walk. If you take a look at source number 13, Vayelech Reuven went on a walk with great purpose. So source number 13 says this forno, Kshera'a she'imo mitzta'eret al she'amda miledet. Reuven understood, probably his mother was sad, his mother was crying, it was obvious that his mother was upset that she couldn't get pregnant anymore, so Reuven took matters into his own hands and he went into the field. What are you going to do in the field if your mother can't give birth? Very simple. You look for some dudaim. Because says this forno, you know what dudaim are? So the commentaries really have a field day trying to figure out what dudaim are. I'll tell you a couple of the different opinions. Says Forno, source number 15, the dudaim min esev tov hareyach. First of all, they smelled wonderfully. V'tov el hatolada. And they were also beneficial as like fertility drugs, fertility herbs. So it was like it would help her to get pregnant. And he was looking for them because he saw his mother was upset. He says, by the way, Chazal say the same thing about garlic, especially roasted garlic. And that's where Chachamim encouraged people to eat roasted garlic Friday night. Because garlic apparently increases a man's fertility. He says it's the same story with the dudaim. Dudaim are maybe even better than the garlic. Because it will help a woman conceive. So it was a fertility drug according to the Sforno. Rashi, if you take a look at source number 14, Rashi, take a look at the last word in Rashi. Tell me what the dudaim are. Jasmine, right, Yasmin. He says, no, they were something else, they were jasmine. The Ramban says something different, but I'll show you what the Ramban says after we see the aftermath of this of these dudaim. Back to source number 11. So here's Reuven finds the dudaim, whatever they are, some jasmine, some fertility herb. He presents them to Leah, his mother. She is thrilled because she knows what this means. It means more children. But who's watching? Rachel. Now Rachel isn't having any kids. Leah, please, can I have some? If it's according to the Sforno, I know why she wants them so badly. Listen to Leah's response. But Tomerla, Hameat kachtechet ishi? Rachel, is not enough you took away my husband? Now you want my flowers too? V'lakach kam to the ebeni? Stop it. What's going on here? Who's accusing who? Rachel is accusing Leah. You took my man! Did she? Oh, she didn't. She gave him up. Who took whose man? Who took whose man? Who took whose husband? Leah is the one, right, who threw herself at Yaakov. She wasn't invited to be the bride. Her name was not on the invitation. She's the one who threw herself at Yaakov. Now she's accusing her sister. You took my husband. Now you want my flowers? What kind of comparison is that? How do you compare a man to flowers? You want everything, don't you? But look at the Rachel's answer. It's such a funny argument they're having. But Tomer Rachel, you want my husband? No problem. Take him. You can have him tonight. We'll make a switch. You get my husband, you get the husband, I get the flowers. What a strange conversation. What an incredibly strange conversation. If it's a fertility herb, I understand why Rachel wants them. Okay. But why wouldn't she want Yaakov also that night? If it's a fertility herb, let her take the Turim and let her keep Yaakov. What is Leah accusing Rachel of? She didn't take anybody. The only one who took a husband is you, Leah. Yeah? So we want to understand this a little bit better. Chazal tell us that Yaakov, when a man has more than one wife, they don't all live together under the same roof. They each have their own lodgings. If she has a house, she has a house. If she has a donkey, she has a donkey. If she has a Mercedes, she has a Mercedes. Everybody has kind of their own lodgings. So that night, Yaakov's turn was supposed to be with Rachel, right? So this was like on the calendar. It's Rachel evening, it's Leah evening, right? They had their turns. So Rachel was supposed to be with Yaakov. She said, whatever, you want the husband so badly, here, take him. You could have him for the night. I'll give him up to you. By the way, she gets in trouble for this. She gets in deep, deep, deep trouble for this. So deep. So deep. Take a look at source number 17. Says Rashi, here, take him, you can sleep with him tonight, you can have him. I was supposed to be with Yaakov tonight. I'll give him up to you. Just I want those flowers. But because she treated cheaply the opportunity to be with a tzaddik, she did not merit to be buried with him. You treated it cheaply. You think it's cheap to give up the merit to be with a tzaddik that night? You treated it that cheaply? Okay. You think it's okay to just let him go? Well, okay, then you won't be buried with him either. She paid a big price. Now Leah has a problem. What's the problem? Yaakov's at work. He's going to come home on his donkey, and his donkey is going to go in the direction of the house of Rachel. What's she going to do at night? Who is it? It's Leah! Come in, Leah. What do you need? A box of tissues? What do you need? Yaakov, you see those flowers on the vase? Listen, it's a long story, but it's very embarrassing. It's very embarrassing. So she has a problem on her hands. What is she going to do? How's she going to, she's going to text him? Come to me. She's going to email him? What's she going to do? So what does she do? Leah's trait is what? Taking initiative. Is not what we thought Leah was, because we always thought she was right with her puffy eyes. Take a look, source number 11, Pasuk Tetzayin. Vayavo Yaakov min hasadeh ba'erev. Yaakov comes home from the field at night. What does she do? Vateitzeh Leah likra'ato. She goes out to greet him. Commentaries tell us she was dressed from head to toe like something very special. She goes out to greet him. Vatomer, and she says to him, Elai tavo, you're coming to me tonight. It's very intimate. Ki sachol sechalticha bedudai beni. I hired you with my child's flowers. What are you saying? You sound like you fell from the moon. You're coming to me tonight. I paid for you. Paid a heavy price. I gave up my kids' flowers for you. What does Yaakov say to her? Nothing. Right here, outside, in the field, he's on his donkey. Elai tavo. He falls in love with her. Right here. Because he understands. Vaishkav ima b'laylo. He goes and he has relations with her that night. Right here he understands. He understands something very clearly. That she has one goal and one intention in mind. And what is that? Source number 12. Yaakov understands something and Hashem understands it so well too. Says the Or HaChaim, Yirtzeh ki hevin. Hashem, and in parentheses Yaakov, understood. Vayeda kavanatan, he understood her intentions. B'maaseh shu tachlit mitzvah. Her intentions were completely and absolutely, she wanted to do a mitzvah. She's going out there dressed in her jewelry and in her finest and all made up. Elai Tavo, you're coming to me. I hired you with my son's flowers. It's so out there. It's so brave. It's so brave. You gotta swallow your pride to be able to do such a thing. It's not normal. Who talks like that? Right? And because it was so abnormal, Yaakov and Hashem both understand she's in love with who? She loves Hashem. And she loves what Hashem has in mind for Yaakov. What Hashem is trying to build and plan here. So she completely went out of the normal pathway, out of the normal way of doing things. She completely kilkela. She broke the normal pathway of things. No woman in her right mind would behave like this. V'gam Hashem kilkela shura. So Hashem also went out of his way and broke the normal pathway of things. Because according to the normal pathway of things, she was only supposed to have 4 children. V'Hashem kilkelet hashura. You know, when you're in love, you do crazy things. Yeah, so she's in love. She's in love with what Hashem has in mind for Yaakov and for the Jewish people. It says the Or HaChaim, be'avotot HaKadosh Baruch Hu, she loved Hashem. V'kilkelat hashura. She completely messed up what a normal person does. Hashem says, you know what? I'll mess up the order for you too. She was only supposed to have 4 children. Hashem gave her that night. She conceived child number 5. Who was he? Issachar. And then she conceived again, child number 6, and that was Zvulun. And right here, Yaakov understands her greatness, and right here he falls in love. And right here is where the Midrash tells us she seeks wool and linen. Now for the wool and linen, you're going to have to wait with me, because she wasn't wearing wool and linen, because you can't wear wool and linen, right? So for the wool and linen, I'm going to have to ask you to wait. I want to show you something else. I want to show you the take that the Ramban has on this back and forth between these two sisters. I want the flowers. Here, take the man, give me the flowers. I want to show you the take that Ramban has on this. Take a look at source number 16. Number 16. He says, now I know that there are some commentaries who say that the Dudaim are a fertility herb. He says, I never heard of this. I never heard of the Dudaim being a fertility herb. He doesn't accept it. So what are they fighting about? If they're not a fertility herb, what are they fighting about? If it's a fertility herb, I understand that Rachel has no kids. She wants to do Dudaim. She wants to get pregnant. I understand Leah couldn't get pregnant after child number 4. She wants to have more kids. I understand. But if it's not a fertility herb, which is clearly the Ramban's take, so what's the big deal? He says, no, they're not a fertility herb. It doesn't do that to you. It doesn't decrease your fertility. You know why Rachel wanted them? Leah got them. But you know why Rachel wanted them? She wanted to lishtasheh. Shashua is a game, to play a game. Lishtasheh, to make herself cutesy, playful. Berechan, with the fragrance of the Dudaim. They smelled great. You know, she kind of wanted to douse herself in this perfume of the Dudaim, and she wanted Yaakov to walk by and be really attracted to her. It was a playful cutesy thing. Why did Leah want the Dudaim? Because who's all of Yaakov's attention lavished upon? Rachel. So you understand why Leah wants them? Something cute for herself. Kacha, maybe she'll, make herself smell good. He'll kacha do a double take when she walks by. He'll catch a whiff of her, Dudaim on her. Something. She wanted something. She wanted to catch Yaakov's attention somehow. Rachel, but she wanted to be playful with the Dudaim. She wanted to smell good. He says, don't think at all they were a fertility herb. Rachel became pregnant through tefillah, not through medicinal things. And anyway, when Reuven brought those Dudaim home, he brought home the blossoms, or he brought home the leaves. And it looks like an apple, whatever. And they smell good. If you want to tell me it's a fertility herb, it's not the blossoms that have medicinal powers. Hashoresh. It's, if anything, it's the root that has medicinal powers. And he tells you what the roots look like. Lohevi, he didn't dig up the roots. Reuben didn't bring home the roots. So if you're telling me this has medicinal powers, no way. Fine, but the medicinal powers, they're in the roots, and he didn't bring home any roots. Okay. And I don't believe any of this, that this is a medicinal, and if it's medicinal, then it's just the herb. And anyway, he says, I looked in all the medical books and I didn't see that the flowers of the dudaim can help you get pregnant. So Ramban's take on this is that Rachel wanted to be cutesy, and Leah was kind of telling her, come on, Rachel, like, you want everything. You already have him. You're the apple of his eye. He loves you. It's an electric love. He's always with you. Like, let me have something too. Let me, catch his attention. You don't need the dudaim. If anyone needs them, I need them. Let me also have something in this relationship. According to the Ramban, that's what's going on over here. So, you decide what you think it is. Now I'll show you this forno. You might not like it, but it just kind of brings out Rachel's really strong feelings about her knowledge that she can be the mother of the Jewish people. It says this forno in source number 18. Not enough that you took my husband, and we said, she didn't take your husband at all. You're the one who took the husband away. It says this forno, ready for this? You're not going to like it. You should never have agreed. 7 days later, when Yaakov said, what is this? I married the wrong woman, and Dad said that you can marry Yaakov also, you should have said, no. You should never have agreed to marry Yaakov as well. You understand what's going on? Leah is telling Rachel, right, after Yaakov got the wrong wife, namely me, and then Dad said he'll give you 7 days later, you should have said no. You should not have agreed to be the second wife. Again, it's coming from a place of, I know I can be the mother of the Jewish people. Yeah. So do with it what you want. You like it, you don't like it, do with it what you want. But in any case, it's this strong taking initiative, working on a grand vision, a grand ideal, and knowing what your great strength and knowing what your power is. I want to show you something cute. Here's Leah, all dressed up. V'teitzeh, she goes out, all dressed up. Again, she has a problem. Yaakov's going to go to Rachel's house. She needs him to come to her house. Hashem hears her heart pounding, and Hashem says, don't worry, Leah, I got it all taken care of. And what does Hashem do? Siftei Chachamim describes to us what happens under the star there. When it says that Yaakov went to be with Leah that night, the pasuk says, "Vayishkav ima balayla hu." He lay with her that night. Pasuk should have said, "Vayishkav ima balayla ha hu." He slept with her that night. So Siftei Chachamim says that hu ha hu is a way of showing us. Source number 19, HaKadosh Baruch Hu siyeh shetzeh misha misachar. Hashem was involved. Hashem helped that Yaakov and Leah should meet, and Yaakov should not go to the tent of Rachel. How did this all happen? Source number 21, second line. V'hach siyeh, how did Hashem help Leah? Yesh lomar, sheYaakov ba min hasadeh. Here's Yaakov galloping on his donkey, rochev al hachamo, v'haya rotzeh lirkav be'ohel Rachel. He wanted to go to the tent of Rachel. V'Hashem natan dat b'chamor. Hashem gave wisdom to Yaakov's donkey. V'haya no'er. And the donkey started braying. You know the noise a donkey makes? The donkey started braying. And who heard the donkey? Kedei shetishma Leah. So Leah would hear from her house, oh, there's Yaakov half a mile away. I hear the donkey. Boo, that's a loud donkey. I never knew the donkey could bray so loud. Hashem made it that night that the donkey should bray extra loud. So Leah heard the donkey. That's how Hashem helped out. he made that donkey, make loud donkey noises, so Leah should, stop doing whatever it is that she was doing, and she should run out. But so Yaakov will detour and come to Leah. And that's exactly what happened. Because of that good donkey who made a loud noise that night, Leah heard the noise and was able to run out and say, come on, you're coming this way tonight, I'll explain it with you when you get home. And who was conceived that night? Yisachar. When Yisachar gets his blessing from Yaakov, sometimes the Shvatim are compared to different animals, like who's compared to a lion? Yehuda. Who's compared to a snake? Dan. Who's compared to a wolf? Binyamin. Who's compared to, what's Yisachar compared to? Yisachar, the Pasuk says, Yisachar chamor garem. Yisachar is like a donkey. Garem is this part, where you put the burden, the yoke on the donkey's neck. Yisachar chamor garem. Yisachar is compared to a donkey because he carries the heavy yoke of the burden of Torah. Shevet Yisachar were teachers of Torah, especially for little children. They taught children Torah, so they carried the yoke of learning Torah. Says the Siftei Chachamim, if you switch around the vowels, Yisachar chamor garam. Yisachar, a donkey caused him. A donkey brought him about. Yisachar was brought about by a donkey. Chamor garem is, right, he's like the Yisachar, he's strong like the neck of a donkey because he carries Torah. But if you switch it around, Yisachar chamor garam. A donkey caused him because he was brought about by a donkey. I want to see the wool and linen. We started off with the wool and linen. I haven't told you anything about wool and linen. And Leah is wool and linen. What's wool? What's linen? Now, I'm going to touch upon this, but we're running out of time, and next week, God willing, we're going to open this up more. I'm not sure if I'll get to Rachel next week. In fact, the next time we meet, there's another woman who we have to study in order to gain. Today was all introduction. To really, really, really kind of plummet the depths of Leah, there's another woman who we need to meet. A very much misunderstood woman, Leah's own daughter. And to understand Leah, we must understand her daughter. I'll quickly introduce to you wool and linen, and that'll be that. What's wool? What's linen? And why is Leah wool and linen? When you think of wool, what animal do you think of? Wool. Sheep, of course. Sheep. You think of sheep, lots of wool, right? Wool is really, really intertwined, right? Really tightly intertwined. You think of your shepherd. Who herds the sheep. Wool is like the symbol of a man who lives the lifestyle of a shepherd. We call this ish ohel umikneh, a man of the tent, because a person who is a shepherd, what do you do when you herd your sheep? You go up to the hill, kacha, your sheep are grazing upon the green meadows. What are you doing in the meantime? Being a shepherd is conducive to relating to your Creator, talking to God. You're out there in the field, the sheep are doing their thing, and it's a great place to meditate and think upon the purpose of the world and the Almighty. It's very conducive to being a godly man. Being a shepherd is a very safe profession because it's you taking care of the sheep. And what if this one didn't get enough water? And what if that one is hungry? And what if that one is tired? All the big people in the world, right? All our big leaders, we call them our 7 shepherds, right? Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, David, and so on. Yosef, they were shepherds. Hashem always tests you, right? With the ability to care and to give. Wool is really intertwined. It's me for you. I care for you. I look out for you, right? It's me and God. It's a very safe thing to be. That's wool. Wool represents ish ohel umikneh, the man of the tent, the shepherd, the man who communicates with God. Then there's the linen personality. What's linen? Pishtim. Linen comes from which plant? Flax. Flax stalks, they are not intertwined. Flax stalks, they grow bad bebad. Bad like levad. They grow as individual stalks. Flax grows from the ground. It grows in the field. Flax, pishtim, linen, is symbolic of the Ish Sadeh, the man of the field. Now the field is a dangerous place to be. Shepherd is a safe place. Why? It's me and God, right? In my tent, it's safe. I care for you. I look out for you. It brings out the best in me. The man of the field, it's not a bad thing. It's a dangerous thing. It's the field, and I'm collecting everything that I grew, right? And I give myself a big pat on the back, and I say, you did good. Boy, you did great. It's a dangerous place to be because my ego can rise up high. The man of the field, the Ish Sadeh, is not a bad place. It's a potentially dangerous place. Because some people, they're out in the field with their head literally in the ground, and it's me, and the strength and the might of my own hand has gotten me. I mean, look at my storehouses, they're full. I did good. These two different attitudes, these two different personalities, the Ish Sadeh, me, I did great, me and my field, as opposed to the shepherd, right, which is, I'm looking out for you just like the wool, which is so intertwined, and I'm sitting in my tent and I'm able to think about Hashem. These are two different opposing attitudes. Together, wool and linen is a dangerous combination. This combination the Torah calls shatnez, just like it says in source number 22, "Lo tilbash shatnez tzemer upishtim yachdav." You may not wear shatnez. You may not wear anything, a garment which is made of wool and linen together. Wool is one domain. Don't confuse it for what it's not. Linen is a different domain. There is the inside, the safe. There's the outside, the dangerous. Don't confuse them. Don't mix them up. There's the field and there's the tent. To combine them is a tricky thing. If you combine them in the wrong way, it might blow up in your face. There are people in the Bible who you know who are opposites, and they're an explosive combination, and they represent the man of the field and the man of the tent. Who are they? Who are they? Who is the Ish Sadeh? Esav. He is described as being the Ish Sadeh. Who is the Ish Ohel Umikneh? Opposite to him. That is Yaakov. Together, they are shatnez. They are wool and linen together. It's an explosive combination. If done improperly, it could blow up in your face. Before Esav and Yaakov, let's go back a few generations to the root of shatnez. We have somebody else whose domain was everything that came from the ground, and his brother's domain was everything that was animals, namely Cain and Hevel. Hevel, well, he was the Ish Ohelu Mikneh. He was the shepherd, and in fact, when he brought his korban, he brought the sheep. His brother Cain, he was the man of the field. And Chazal tell us that what did he bring? He brought from the produce of the earth. Chazal tell us he brought flax seeds. Flax, linen. Cain and Hevel, shatnez. Right, shatnez is a dangerous combination. It's very rare that you're able to combine the life of the field and the life of the tent and not have it explode in your face. Leah, Darshat Semer Upishtim, knows how to combine the life of the outside, the life of the field, and the life of the tent and not have it explode in her face. Who are the two children that she has as a result of that meeting out there under the stars where he falls in love with her, and right there she's called wool and linen, as we saw in source number 2. She has Yisachar, and right after that she has Zvulun. What do you know about Yisachar and Zvulun? They're partners. What kind of partners? What kind of partners? That's right. Yisachar and Zvulun, right? Yisachar, I told you, the tribe were teachers of Torah. Zvulun was, they were merchants. The tribe of Zvulun were merchants, and so they had a kind of partnership of sorts. Zvulun said to Yisachar, you know what? You learn Torah. Me, I'm a merchant. I don't have all this time to learn Torah. You learn Torah, and I'll support you. And 50% of the reward of the Torah that you learn will go to me. So I'll support you financially. You learn the Torah, half the merit of the Torah learning will go to me. Who represents wool? Who represents linen? Yisachar represents wool. Zvulun represented linen. Was it an explosive combination? No. Did it work? Absolutely. Because Leah knows how to combine the outside and the inside. She went out to greet Yaakov. Field, outside, bedecked, not good. How come it didn't explode in her face? Because she knew how to not let it explode in her face. But yatzanut, going out, is a dangerous trait. And the continuation of that, God willing, how that trait ended up manifesting in herself and in her daughter, and what happened to her daughter who inherited that trait, is going to be our task for next time we meet.